to another video of jPlay. I'm Marcus and today I want to show you my next piece of loot from this year's Essen 2014, and at the same time I want to start a playthrough session of Onward to Venus here. To be honest, I'm not sure if I really will conduct a full playthrough series for Onward to Venus, but at least I will guide you through one or two rounds of this awesome game. I really have to admit that. But really, if time permits and if I really tend to like it and I feel it does make sense to play this game alone, might bring it to the end and we'll play it through the full 3 rounds. So, let's see how things go and let's have a look inside the box. Onward to Venus is based on the Dr. Groth comic series by Greg Broadmoor, and I have to confess, I've never heard of this before. Martin Wallace announced his upcoming game back then, and of course, in the meantime I have read some of the pages, and the graphic novels are really hilarious, absolutely sarcastic with a great potential to actually hit the screen. Just think of it as Jules Verne meets Flash Gordon, who just visited Little Britain. Really great stuff. Checking out IMDb, I have noticed there's already a short film based on the Dr. Groth universe, but I really would look forward to see a full feature movie here. The game doesn't really focus on some of the main characters such as Lord Cochrane, but you will find those throughout the game by drawing or encountering various game cards, which will really bring some flavor into this otherwise area control game. So, here you look at the solar system as we know it today, right somewhere, whatever. Setup of the game is relatively fast and straightforward, and I decided to demonstrate a 3-player game, but Onward to Venus really shines with all 5 players. And I decided to play with Great Britain, thematically a must basically in red, Russia in purple and France in blue. I'm not playing with Germany as I don't want to end up cheating here. Each faction starts the game with 4 more or less unique starting cards, so here we see Lord Cochrane for example, and 1 factory on Earth, 2 spaceships and infantry units orbiting Earth. Each player draws 2 additional cards from the general deck and £12 for starting money, and I really love it. It's really refreshing not to use dollars or credits. Unlike a study in Emerald, Onward to Venus is not a deck builder, so choose wisely which card to play, because once it's played and discarded. I also had to learn that the hard way, that you should really not hold back playing your cards, as your units are definitely more valuable and there are plenty of occasions to gain new cards. The game plays over 3 rounds, and at the end of round 3 all players check who receives the highest income on the individual planets and score the points appropriately. You increase your income by placing factories and mines on the planets through game tiles. Here on Venus for example, the player with the highest income gets 10 victory points, the player with the second highest income gets 7 victory points, and so on. In case of a tie, all tied players gain the full victory points, so in this game ties are definitely worth taking some risk for, and they will happen all the time. Each of the 3 rounds followed the same sequence: place pass cubes, draw and place game times, player actions, possible crises events, collect income, and finally reset military pieces and move them back into orbit. Let's start the first game round by placing the pass cubes. As you already know, Onward to Venus plays over 3 game rounds, and each round immediately ends when the last pass cube has been claimed by any player. In a 3-player game, each round starts with 5 pass cubes, basically the amount of player plus 2, it's also printed here on the card itself. But I think I will explain this mechanic as I play. After the pass cubes have been placed, we will draw the first set of game tiles. You do this depending on the amount of players, according to the table at the back of the rulebook or on this handy little game overview chart. So let's do that now. Let's have a look at some of the game times, and basically there are 2 different types: undefended and defended game tiles. The undefended game tiles can be claimed without a fight, and that's because they are, undefended. You just need to activate a military unit and then you can claim it to build a factory or draw 2 cards, for example. Defended game tiles again come in two flavors. The tiles with a fixed base defense value like the mine or the crisis tile, and the tiles with a variable base defense value like the tangent tile here. But I think this is really the only subtype of that kind. But I will explain the combat when I get there. Let's have a quick look on the possible player actions for phase 3 next. Each player normally is allowed to take one action before the next player gets a chance to perform an action, and so on. You can move a fleet with at least one spaceship, one or two planets with a chance to directly claim a game tile when you decide not to move the full distance. You can just claim a tile, for example, if you did move the full distance during your last turn. Then you can buy one or two military units depending where you have factories, whereas Earth will always allow you to build troops, even if you don't have a factory there. Infantry troops have always to be built there. In the end, we are still human players. Next, you can take a card action if a card asks for a full action. And last but not least, you can pass. Grab a pass cube from the pass card and you can draw a card from the deck. But know that your hand size limit is 9, and if you just drew the last pass cube of the current round ends, and you also get the first player pawn, which is really not worth mentioning in this so-called limited edition. Let's start the actual player action phase, and please be kind to me as I will not play very strategic. I just want to show you the game mechanics after all. I decided to play from left to right, so France would go first, the blue player, and right now all the players are around Earth and all the players also have a factory on Earth. And let's have a look at the 3 game tiles which are currently present. On the right we have 2 undefended game tiles, so in order to claim those I only have to send down one of my troops, and then I would be able to either build a factory or draw 2 cards. On the left hand side, the mine here is a defended tile, but the defense is not very high because it only shows us a defense value or base defense value of 2 here, and this is really tempting for the French player, so I think he will really try to go into combat and try to claim this mine. You always try to claim a game tile, even though sometimes this can lead to a direct conflict with another player. Let's start with the easier one here and try to claim this mine with a base defense of 2, which is printed on the bottom right of the game tile. Next, you would all 3 dice and take the dice with the highest and the lowest result and calculate the difference. This value is added to the base defense value of the mine, and then you know how much fighting power you have to come up with in order to claim it. And skulls are zeros, by the way. So in this example, you would take the medium die out of it, and then you would take the difference between the highest and the lowest dice. This is a 3. You would add the 3 to the 2, which means blue or France has to come up with a fighting or combat point value of 5 in order to claim this mine. After determining the final defense value, you can decide how many troops to land, whereas spaceships and infantry are both worth 1 combat point and tanks bring 2. Now would also be the best time to play any benefit or weapon cards. And a little suggestion here, available ships are way more important than cards in your hand. So play them if you have them. When you have reached the necessary combat points equal to or higher than the defense value, you can claim the mine tile and replace it with one of your mines. Of course, and this is important, you have to activate or land all units you brought to a fight. For each skull result, the attacker has to destroy one of his attacking units after the actual attack. So you can still use those to determine your combat points, and this is really important. The attacker can also decide to not conduct his attack and cancel it, but in this case he still would have to resolve each skull symbol wrote. So this was just an example, but I think we will now go into the real combat. So again, France want to take over the mine here, so we have a base defense value of 2. Now let's roll our 3 combat dice. Okay, let's hope for the best. Okay, so we have a 6, we have a 3 and a 3. This is the medium result, the difference is 3. We add that to the 2. Again, we come to a combat value of 5. And I think I will do it as I just showed in my example here. I will definitely play this Pomson 6000 subatomic wavegun, and here really the artwork is absolutely thematic and cool. So we have already 2 combat points. I think next I will land 1 troop, that's 3 combat points, 4 and 5. I think for now I will keep my spaceships where they are. So I've now met the combat value. This card will be discarded. This tile is now claimed, and this means Blue or France can place his first mine on Earth. Awesome! Then we come to Great Britain, the red player. And Earth is really the most valuable planet, and there is still 1 freebie here. So I think Great Britain will send down 1 troop and will claim this factory tile here, though that's pretty plain and simple. So we just build our second factory on Earth. Venus is also a very cool planet, as the first player also gets 10 victory points. And on Earth there is only this game tile left, and we definitely need some income. That's really important. So I think for now Russia will move with 1 spaceship and 1 infantry unit to Venus for now. I think this should be okay. No, let's send more. I just saw something. Let's send all the troops to Venus here, and I think for now we will go down and we'll take over this factory here for Russia. This is also very important, as factories and mines produce income, and that's really important. And that's already the turn of Russia. And this is something important. I think I explained it or showed it to you very briefly when I went through the possible player actions. But what I did is I moved 1 space, and normally you are allowed to move up to 2 spaces. If you don't using your full distance, you still are allowed to claim 1 gain tile on your target planet or on any planet, so it doesn't have to involve the actual game tile you move. Then in most cases this will be the case, or very often, but it does not have to be the same way. If I would have moved the fleet over to Mercury instead, so from Earth it's 1, 2 spaces away, then I would not have been allowed to directly land on Mercury in order to claim 1 of those awesome little mines there. Okay, coming back to France. I think France will move to Mars, also a very awesome planet, providing 10 victory points for the leading player there. We still have 1 factory here, so I think I will land my last infantry on Mars to claim this factory, like this. And then we would move over to Great Britain, or that's Great Britain. And I think I will move 1 ship, and I think I will take 2 infantry with me. And this is also worth mentioning. You can only move infantry if they're accompanied by at least 1 spaceship. Of course, they don't have to be, or they must not activated already. Everything that you move to the planet counts as activated, and normally you cannot reuse them in the very same game round here. There's also 1 additional rule. If you ever build a tank, and this will definitely happen quite soon, tanks are normally also not allowed to move between the planets. Okay, what will Great Britain do? I think there is still 1 factory on the moon, so let's send down 1 infantry for Great Britain, and we will build our next factory there as well. There is still easy prey here on Venus, so I think it's too tempting. I will send down another infantry to claim this factory as well. So this makes it pretty safe for now that Venus might be controlled by Russia. Coming back to France. On Mars there is still this big game hunting tile. It's an undefended tile, and as soon as you claim it, you basically go on a hunt, and then you immediately score 1 victory point. So you keep that tile and you can score it by the end of this game. So I think this is really too easy. Let's send down a spaceship here and claim this big game tile here. And the real cool thing about those game tiles which you are allowed to keep, these are really points you don't have to give up. So you don't have to compete for majority in respect to income. What you have is what you have. Let's see what Great Britain will actually do. And I still see one additional big game tile here. So yeah, let's do that. So I will move the spaceship here to Venus. I only moved one space, so I'm still allowed to claim one game tile. So I will land my spaceship here and will also claim one of those big game tiles. So 1 point for Great Britain. And I think Russia will move over to Mercury. There is still a mine that has only a base defense of 2, but also the mines with 3 are not really that powerful, though I think they go up to 5 or so. So let's move all our troops 1 space to Mercury. And now I will try to claim this mine here. Again, I would roll the combat dice. So let's see what we have. Okay. Oh, that's tough. Oh, wow, that's really tough. No, that's the case. So we have a 6, we have a 0 and a 5. So this will be taken out basically. Though this means for once we would lose 1 troop after the fight actually. And we have to add 6 to the base defense value of 2. So we land up on 8 defense or combat points which we need to bring up. Let's see what Russia will do here. And I think he will play a benefit card. Stellar Lexiphon here. A benefit which can be accompanied with an action here. And this says re-roll 1 or more dice. And in this case, I'm really tempted to roll all 3 dice. Yeah, I think it cannot be really that worse. So let's see what we get here. Way better. Wow. This one is taken out 2 and 2, which means we only have to land 2 troops. Oh wow, that's too awesome. Okay, perfect. Let's move over to Mercury again. And we wanted to claim that mine here. We only need to provide 2 combat points, and I think this is really too easy. We will land both infantry here. We will claim this tile, and we have built our first mine on Mercury. Wow, that was really an awesome turn for Russia. I think I will end my playthrough for today. I think this showed you more or less most of the core mechanics. Of course, one big thing or 2 big things are missing. There are these tangent tiles. Right now we don't have any on the board yet, so tangent tiles are used in order to attack another player. And of course we have to go through the actual crisis or possible crisis events at the end of each game round, and I think this is really something I will show you in my next video of Onward to Venus. I really hope you enjoyed it so far. Hope most of the rules made sense to you. If you need any changes or clarifications, please contact me, and hope to see you soon in one of my next videos. Until then, bye bye.